What's going on, guys? Jason here, talking hip hop today. We're doing just that. We're going to talk about your guys' top 25 albums of all time. You might remember on my Instagram page at Talking Hip Hop, I had the questions. You guys may remember on my story like a month ago, I had one of those questions boxes. I was asking everyone, what are your top 5 to 10 albums of all time? We got responses from over 50 people. Appreciate all you guys who showed out, send through your albums. Love to see what you're listening to. But yeah, so I got 5 to 10 albums from 50 people. Use that to compile the data for this list. Right? Pretty much how I made this list was I averaged out took all the albums that were added, averaged out their rankings. The albums that appeared in people's list the most often got ranked the highest, and then if there was 2 albums that were on 5 different lists, then whichever had the highest average score of their placement would be lower, obviously. And then whoever the lowest average score would be higher, obviously. So, yeah, that's how we got here. Over 120 albums submitted. First of all, I wanted to talk about a couple of albums that I thought were huge snubs. Blows my mind they didn't make the top 25. I got snubs. 4 of them shocked me. 4 of them is you guys are tweaking for not having Pinata by Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, The Infamous by Mobb Deep, Undone by The Roots, and fucking Aquemini by Outkast. How does Aquemini not crack the top 25 hip hop albums of all time between 50 lists? That's unreal, guys. I mean, that's Outkast's best album, but not going to get into that right now. The other album that I did want to talk about briefly is Me Against the World. I'm not that surprised it didn't make it. That is not a top 25 album of all time, in my opinion, but, where's the love for Pac? Where's the love for Pac? I know he never had an album that was like that. He doesn't have one of those, he doesn't have a top 25 hip-hop album of all time. He doesn't have, to put it simply, he doesn't. But Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, those are some classic fucking records. That is the pinnacle of West Coast hip-hop, and I wish there was more representation of that here. But let's check the notes real quick, guys. Yeah, just to reiterate, I don't know if I made this that clear. This is just rap, hip-hop albums. There was a lot of Igor mentions. A lot of you wanted to throw Igor on here. I didn't count it. That is not a hip-hop album, in my opinion, obviously, because it's Tyler and he's predominantly a hip-hop artist. I could realistically throw it onto the list, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But Igor is not a hip-hop album, so it's not on this list. Otherwise, it would have been top 10, top 15. Anyways, off the list at number 25, we got The Education of Miss Lauryn Hill by Miss Lauryn Hill, Fugees legend of Fugees fame. Obviously, undeniable. We're talking about one of the only diamond hip hop records of all time. One of the only albums to ever go more than 10 times platinum. To go 10 times platinum. Again, we're talking about Lauryn Hill. 25 is fair. That's not a miss. 25 is probably around where this album slots in on my best hip-hop records of all time. But it's solid. There are definitely some albums that should not be over it that are. Which we'll get into actually right now with 2 albums that, in my opinion, are very similar. At 24 and 23, we have 2014 Forest Hills Drive by J. Cole and Late Registration by Kanye West. Obviously, these 2 albums are not similar in sonic, how they sound, and theming, and really anything except for the fact that they are both overrated by most people. They are not touching my list. They won't be there. But they also have in common, they are mega influential albums, packed to the brim with hits that people love. But quality-wise, and how I view the albums in terms of how good they actually are, they're not there. I mean, come on. 2014 Forest Hills Drives, it got Wet Dreams, it got Hello. There's some misses on there. It's a great album nonetheless. Top 3 J. Cole. He has another album on the list, surprisingly, but I am one of those people who thinks J. Cole is very overrated. You guys who have seen my content, you know that. You know that. J. Cole's fucking great. He's one of my favorite rappers, but like, come on now. He's not a top 5 rapper from the 2010s. Like, Joey passes him, Rocky passes him, Mac passes him. Like, I'm not even gonna start this debate right now. 2014 Forest Hills Drive, was that 24 or 23? Shit. Number 24, overrated. Same thing as Late Registration. Pretty I'm about to give. Overrated. Don't really care for it. It's a great album. There's no denying this is a good piece of music with good songs, but like, a lot of the songs are samey to me. I really am not a fan of like early 2000, mid to early 2000, like the 2005 to like 2012 hip hop instrumentals. The only person who was using those beats right was Lupe Fiasco on Food and Liquor. Kanye, I'm not a fan of him on the. You guys know what I'm talking about. The horns, very triumphant, very poppy drum patterns. It was very popular. You know the sound. You're imagining a song right now. Not my thing. I don't think it's that good. Late Registration and 2014 Forest Hills Drives also have in common that they're both like 7.7 out of 10s to me. But yeah, on to the next. 22, we got Damn by Kendrick Lamar. 21, we got some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt. And 19, we have For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole. I'll take a second to address this right now. The 2010s bias in this list is crazy. I'm not surprised. I'm young. I'm assuming most of you guys are around my age. A little older, maybe a little younger. But we all love that 2010 sound. I mean, come on. I'm more of an old head with that. I think 90s is the better decade. But I'm not surprised to see an album like Damn slide in here. Damn deserves it. Some rap songs. Not surprised to see that slide in here. Think it should be higher, to be honest. If it is going to slide in here. It wouldn't slide in here for me, but I did expect it to be higher because I know people fucking love that album. People ride some rap songs. Amazing classic album, but like, it's fine, you know? And then we get to For Your Eyes Only. It is the weakest of these 3 albums, in my opinion. Again, I love it. This is Cole's best record. This is Cole's most personal record. This could easily be one of the best albums of all time if the project itself wasn't derivative. We get some of J. Cole's best writing, best thought out concepts, best narratives where he puts himself in his friend James' shoes, his friend who is Selene, and he goes through and raps about his life from his perspective and his life from his he raps from his friend's children's perspective. He is doing a lot to show what he and his friends experienced growing up in North Carolina, growing up poor, growing up in poverty. He is coming through and he is giving his best writing ever. But there are the weak tracks. There's a handful of weak tracks. You got She's Mine Part 1 and 2, and you got Fold and Close. And Fold and Close is overhated. That is not a shit song. I bump that song sometimes, but like, I understand and respect the role that these songs play to the narratives, but like, to the narrative of the album, but like, they could have been executed way better. Just like any J. Cole album, it's a little boring. It gets boring at times. But again, I'm not too mad about it being here. Given the demographic of people, this list is making sense so far, right? This list is making pretty good sense so far. In 18, we have 2 albums that I'm going to talk about together. Again, this is how I'm going to talk about them together. A lot of them are similar. We got Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z, Below the Heavens by Blue and Exile. Again, stark difference. Below the Heavens is an underground classic, right? Like, some of you guys don't know this. This is a go listen to album right now. One of the best jazzed and soul-infused soundscapes in any hip-hop album. Exile does an excellent job on the production. Literally, one of the best produced albums ever. Then you got Blue, who again, like, I don't know if I want to throw out one of the best rappers like that, but like, what he does on here is insane. He's easily one of the best storytellers of all time. He is giving you every song anecdotes from his life, his deepest thoughts and fears, what he wants to do with his life. You are getting that from this 2007 record. And honestly, the reason I'm talking about these 2 together is because they should be higher. Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z, and Below the Heavens are both like top tier, like tip top, like 10 out of 10 albums to me. No flaws, fucking perfect albums. Reasonable Doubt is like, I don't get how people don't think that's Jay-Z's best album. I mean, like the first half of that album is literally like all-time great rap songs. Anyways, I digress. I'm happy to see these two made the list. Again, given the demographic of people, given what we've seen so far, wouldn't have expected it low-key. They both could have slipped through and I wouldn't have been that surprised, but I know all you guys have good music taste. You guys are putting on, and you made this list great. And now fucking we get to talk about two of the best albums of all time, which moves us on to another trio of records that have a lot in common that I'm going to talk about right now. We're at, what, 17? All right, so 17, we got 1999 by Joey Badass. 16, we got Rodeo by Travis Scott. And 15, we have At Long Last A$AP by A$AP Rocky. Now, these three records right here are three of my favorite albums of all time. I am always listening to these, especially 1999 and At Long Last A$AP. Like, those are two of, like, the pinnacle albums that made me a rap fan. Like, those are albums I listened to, and it, like, changed the way that I listen to music. Like, absolutely, like, some of my favorite shit ever. Rodeo is so great, too. Rodeo is so good, but, all right, Rodeo's not on this list for me, not even close. The closest of the three is 1999. I know a lot of people think 1999 is overrated. No, it's fucking not. This is like lyrical excellence. This is New York excellence. This is boom bap excellence. Deserves every bit of praise it gets. A$AP and Rodeo are two of the best hip hop albums that infuse a lot of psychedelic elements, a lot of psychedelic rock elements. Although Rodeo is more trap, you still get that in the production. You still get that sound, but obviously At Long Last A$AP's way better, as much as I love Rodeo. And before we go to 14, gonna take a little hydration break. Oh yeah, we got Poland Springs on deck today. Little mainstream. It's a little everyone's drinking that, but come on now, I know this is better than your Stop and Shop brand. Stay hydrated, gang. All right, so 14, we have one of two albums to come out last year in 2022 on this list. Obviously, it's a little too early to be calling that, but the first one makes sense. We have The Forever Story by JID, an album that has become one of the most polarizing and divisive albums since its release, because this is one of those albums where you got the people online who are comparing this to T-Pab, saying it's better than To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick. And that is neither here nor there. I just think it's too early to have that discussion in general. It hasn't been a full year. It's a little too early to start being like, all right, well, is this better? We'll see in a couple of years how well The Forever Story ages. But hell yeah, it deserves this spot. Like, I was one of the biggest defenders of this album when it came out. There was a lot of people now who are jacking this is the best album of last year, that when it dropped were saying 7. When it dropped, we're saying this is overrated. And I get that, because the first time I listened to The Forever Story, I was like, this is like fucking awesome, but like, all right, like, everyone's bugging a little bit. But then you get a couple more listens in, you keep it on repeat, and you go, and you're like, wow, like, JID really did something special. There is not a second of wasted time on that album. You could tell JID that The Forever Story is a labor of love from JID, and encapsulates everything about him and his journey this far, and also encapsulates all of his rapping and music abilities perfectly, almost flawlessly. The Forever Story of 14 is a calm pick. I love it. 12. The fuck does that say? All right, so 13 and 12. All right, so 13 and 12, we have The Blueprint by Jay-Z and the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. We'll start with The Blueprint, I guess. The Blueprint is fun. I know people like it better than Reasonable Doubt. It definitely deserves to be on this list. It is likely going to be, it would be my top 30 hip-hop albums of all time. Off the top of my head, at least. Maybe it would be a little short. Maybe it would be way higher. But off the top, definitely deserves it. The Blueprint is fucking great. Above Reasonable Doubt, we spoke about that. You know where I stand, but The Blueprint is fine there. The Marshall Mathers LP is what I want to talk about. This is the one Eminem placement on the album, or the one Eminem placement on the list At 12 is fair because I don't count this as a Marshall. It is the Marshall Mathers LP, but in my mind it's just the Eminem placement because Eminem fans will arbitrarily throw their favorite M album into their top 5 favorite albums list. I love Eminem. He is one of the most skilled rappers ever. His writing has gone downhill. His subject matter early on hasn't aged well. And of that initial legendary run of the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, and the Eminem Show, in my opinion, the Marshall Mathers LP is the weakest. This would be the Eminem Show spot for me. And it would fit here fine. Marshall Mathers LP. Again, I think it's not even in the picture. That's not a top 50, 75 hip-hop album of all time, in my opinion. But this is the Eminem placement to me. Eminem at 12, outside the top 10. It works. It works. I'm a Do By Itself. Rare occasion, I know. We're talking about Taboo by Denzel Curry. Another album I'm surprised to see at 11. The 11th best hip-hop album of all time. Even between the people who, even just with the data. That's surprising. I love Taboo. One of my favorite albums of all time. Another one of these albums that I throw in with At Long Last ASAP and 1999. This is now my credit with me becoming such a huge hip-hop fan. This really put me on and showed me, what rap really is to offer. This is one of the first heavy hitter albums I ever listened to, and damn, when this dropped, it was crazy. I've been on Denzel ever since. Obviously, one of my favorite rappers ever. You can't see because the glare a little bit. We got the walking poster right up on the wall. Move that in a little closer to the set. But yeah, I have no qualms with this. I actually don't even think this is Denzel's best album. I think at this point, Melt My Eyes has surpassed it by a little bit. And I honestly do think Taboo's a little overrated at this point because there's no way it's this high on a list like this. But salute you guys. You love to see the Denzel love. I'm not complaining about it. At 10, we have the other 2022 album. This is the surprising placement of the list. This is more surprising than Taboo or the Marshall Mathers LP. This is I don't understand why this is on this list, and it's not because this is a bad album. All right, well, I get why it's on this list. It's because all the hype it has, but guys, Call Me If You Get Lost is not a top 10 hip hop album of all time. It's not not only has it been just over a year to call that, even though just based off rating, it's borderline top. I don't know. It's a weird album to talk about because I feel a lot of people did. This is kind of like the Tyler pick. A lot of people who didn't pick Igor probably just threw this in there because they love Tyler. That's how I kind of feel it because Call Me is not his best album. Call Me is very new and very popular right now. It just had a huge deluxe that everyone loves. Everyone is obsessed with Tyler. Tyler's one of the biggest rappers in the game right now, and that's cool. I saw Call Me If You Get Lost in concert. Fucking dope experience. Best performer I've ever seen. He had the whole function lit. I was in the nosebleeds, and it was such a good experience. Holy, but that's why this is that rant I just did. That's why this is number 10. People love Tyler. People love Call Me If You Get Lost. It's definitely not on that level. Definitely not on the level of the next 9 albums we're about to discuss. Or it's really not on the same level of any of the albums we have discussed so far. All right, in my opinion, the only albums it's surpassing that I've mentioned so far, I'm just looking at my list right now, guys, is the Marshall Mathers LP, and then Late Registration in 2014, Forest Hills Drives Black, and Rodeo. And that's no disrespect to Call Me If You Get Lost. Again, I have that on vinyl sitting right next to me. This is one of my favorite albums. One of my favorite rappers, honestly. We're talking about Tyler again, but it's I see why he's here, but he definitely doesn't, he does not deserve to be this high on the list. Number 9, we have the second highest Mr. West album on this list. We have The College Dropout, which is expected. I know all the Ye stands are here. They're probably happy. They probably think I'm so mad that The College Dropout's this high. It should be on this list. It's a top 25 album of all time. It's Kanye's best album. It is this album changed what rap sounded like at the time. It is a huge inspiration for the beats I was talking about before that I don't like that much. The College Dropout does that sound the best. It did a huge for the reintegration of samples into hip hop and how, not necessarily reintegration like they ever went away, but how they were used. Kanye was chopping the soul samples like nobody else was at that time, and it really did change the landscape of hip hop in 2004, 2005, whenever it dropped. This is Kanye's best rapped album and best produced album. Ever since this out, like Kanye's lyrical ability is like, let's say this is like 7.5 out of 10, right? Like Kanye is a good rapper, good lyricist, the college dropout. Like this, like once we get past My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, let's say, I don't even care what this guy has to say. Kanye is not a lyricist, not really a good rapper either. Like he's not good at rapping. Obviously, he makes good rap music, but he is bad at rapping. He is bad at rapping. But on the college dropout, he's fucking great. This is when he's rapping like he wants it. He's rapping hungry. But anyways, deserved place. 8, 36 Chambers. We're talking Wu-Tang. We're talking one of the best gangster rap albums ever. We're talking another changing the landscape of hip hop album. Cannot be mad about this at all. Love 36 Chambers. Like, again, so many classic hip hop songs are on this record. I know. If anyone thinks this isn't top 10, if anyone thinks top 10 is an unfair placement for Enter the 36 Chambers, Enter the Wu-Tang, tell me in the comments. Give me a reason why. Because, again, personally, this isn't in my top 10 best rap albums of all time. But, like, I'm not going to tell anyone they're crazy for putting it there. I completely get it. We got another album that I'm actually surprised to see get as much love as it did, but it's also, you know, shout out to 2010's bias. We got Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown. What might be the best experimental rap album of all time. There's no other album that I've heard that puts you in a place like Atrocity Exhibition. Danny is taking you through all of his like most worst and vile and sickening drug addiction experiences, and he is taking you on this trip with him. And the the production is eerie and uncomfortable. And what Danny has to say, at first you got his like gross ass like voice. Like I love Danny's voice, but that is an acquired taste. So the way he sounds like off rip, you're already like, oh shit. Like it could be a scary album to listen to. Like if you listen to this and you don't know what you're about to get into, it's gonna catch you off guard. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna make you feel weird. You're gonna feel unsettled. But man, what a ride. If you name another album that could do that, that isn't by Danny Brown, then we could have that discussion. But again, Danny Brown is already one of the best lyricists, one of the best rappers. Now he's got that super focused, that super laser focused concept and ideas he wants to take you through. So obviously this at number 7 is a dub. That's fucking Die by Biggie. I think leaving this out of the top 5. No, actually, it's not blasphemous. This is like perfect placement for one of the best rap albums ever. There's no denying that Biggie was one of the most skilled rappers ever. There was nobody flowing like he did. No, really something different with that. And Ready to Die is a perfect example of that, where you're getting, again, an album filled to the brim with classic hip-hop songs. One of Biggie's biggest strengths is when he was going to drop like a gas bar, like you could tell. I feel like every song has a couple bars that like everybody knows, and when he comes through to drop it, he's dropping it like, oh man, only smoke blunts if they roll proper. Like, come on now, that's some classic at like Ready to Die at 6. Perfect. I'm going to run through the top 5 real quick. I feel like this is the most obvious top 5 of all time. You guys all know where we're going with this. So, at number 5, we got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Mr. Kanye West. 4, Mad Villainy by MF Doom and Madlib. At 3, Illmatic by Nasty Nas. And 2, we all know what 2 albums are sitting here, and we all know what order they're in, guys. Like, I'm not going to joke you on that. I mean, 2, we have Good Kid, Mad City, and at 1, we have To Pimp a Butterfly, guys. The Kendrick bias is unreal, but it is well deserved. These are all 4 of these are albums that deserve to be in this top 5. I'm not going to debate anybody on T-Pab, Good Kid, Mad City, Illmatic, or Mad Villainy. They could be in anyone's top 5, and it's valid. These are all nearly perfect albums. These are all some of the most respected and loved hip hop albums of all time that most people have in their top 5 to 10. The order doesn't so much matter. I'm not going to spoil my order. I'm going to do my own top 100 albums of all time soon. You guys could suck it. But, anyways, these 4 will all be near the top when that happens. So, I'm not spoiling my order. But you know that's fair. You know those 4 albums are untouchable. But we go to 5 with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And here's where things are going to get hot. Because a lot of people are about to be like, what do you mean only 4 of these albums you think deserve it? This is my exact top 5. This is my exact top 5. What do you mean? My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy isn't there, ladies and gents. I told you when I was talking about The College Dropout that is Ye's best album. I'm going to do this rant right now. I'll probably do it a lot of other times because I get a lot of heat for what I have to say about Kanye. And that is something that I'm fine with. Because that's like, I'll say it again, he is a bad rapper post 2010. He is a bad rapper post this album. This is his last good season, we could say. Again, that's a little bit like exaggeratory, but like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like the end of Kanye's peak. His career pretty much declines from here until we get to Ye. But Ye does not surpass this. Anyways, this is one of those albums that I look at in the same vein that I look at 2014 Forest Hills Drives. We got the classic songs on here. We get the songs people love, but as an album, it's not there. People gas this album for 2 reasons. One being nostalgia. I think most Ye stands were Ye stands when they were younger and were very used to hearing all his hit songs and all that crap. Not me. I didn't listen to Kanye West like knowingly until like 2018, until 5 years ago. I have no nostalgia for his music. And like I will say right now, like Power and All of the Lights on this track list do almost nothing for me. Power's like commercial music to me. And All of the Lights is like cool, but like I'm not listening to that. It's a good song. It's a great song even, but I don't think it's like legendary or anything. I don't think it's like 10 on 10. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's close to any of that. But then we look at Devil in a New Dress and we look at Runaway. Now these are 2 of the undeniable best hip-hop songs of all time. These are making anybody's top 100, top 50, if not best hip-hop songs of all time. Like, everybody loves these songs. There's no denying how amazing these 2 songs are, but I think people kind of ride the album because of those 2 songs. Also because the songs like Gorgeous and Monster, but like when we're talking like Hell of a Life, Blame Game, Lost in the World, not to mention Power and All of the Lights. I might have just said that twice, shit. But that's 4 to 5 songs, depending on how many times I said All of the Lights, that I straight don't care for. Lost in the World, I think, is not good. Blame Game and Hell of a Life is like, I'm not listening to them, but they're not bad songs. And then you have the other half of the album, which is like excellence. It's literally excellence, but you can't, realistically, if you divide that out, if you have 5 10 out of 10 songs and 5 out of 10 songs, that averages out to like 7.5 out of 10. Obviously, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is higher than a 7.5 out of 10, because this album would not be in my top 25 of all time, but it's great. Like, this is an amazing album. This is Kanye's second best album. I'm not here to hate on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as much as I am to explain why I feel the way I do about it and hate on it a little because it's overrated. But anyways, that is the list, guys. I'll run it through one more time while I stare at the list that's been to the right of me this whole time. At 25, The Miseducation of Miss Lauryn Hill. 24, 2014 Forest Hills Drives. 23, Late Registration. 22, Damn. 21, Some Rap Songs. 20, For Your Eyes Only. 19, Reasonable Doubt. 18, Below the Heavens. 17, 1999. 16, Rodeo. 15, At Long Last ASAP. 14, The Forever Story. 13, The Blueprint. 12, The Marshall Mathers LP. 11, Rodeo. 10, Call Me If You Get Lost. 9, The College Dropout. 8, 36 Chambers. 7, Atrocity Exhibition. 6, Ready to Die. 5, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. 4, Mad Villainy. 3, Illmatic. 2, Good Kid, Mad City. And 1, To Pimp a Butterfly. Again, that top 4 is untouchable. A lot of these albums We will talk about more. There's a reason why I didn't go too in depth today. I just thought it would be fun to gloss over some stats I compiled from you guys. I appreciate all of you guys who contributed, being active members of the community. You love to see it. You know, if you guys are feeling a video like this where I'm just going through and reading pretty much what other people's opinions, I added my own 2 cents on pretty much every album, but this is a compilation of your guys' opinions when it comes down to it. I didn't put my top 5 in this. I'm going to say that, but, you know, maybe we'll do more stuff like this. And if not, you know, that's cool. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're feeling it, if you're feeling me, subscribe, like, comment, share, all that bullshit, guys. You know. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.